Hey, welcome back to the shop. So just briefly, I want to go over the creation of the hammer blades. Had a section of video that showed how to do that, and unfortunately it got deleted. So just kind of wanted to touch base on that real quick. So there's two different types of hammer blades within the chipper. There's the standard flat, and then there is an L hammer also. So there's two different model part numbers that you have to order in if you're going to be replacing these. But instead of doing that, I went ahead and I created my own using inch and a half by 1/4 inch flat stock. So I went to Lowe's, picked this up, and then whenever I got back, I took the one hammer blade and I put it onto the metal, marked out my length, and then this is a 1.5 inches across, so that's 3/4 of an inch to the center line of the flat stock, and then the holes that the pins go into for retaining it onto the impeller, they're 1/2 inch across. So I measured up 3/4 of an inch, and that would leave me with a 1/2 inch of metal from the outer edge of the hole to the back of the hammer blade. So then you just go ahead and you drill those out, and you make yourself a 1/2 inch hole to replace this. So I made 8 of these, and the way Harbor Freight has it set up is there's 4 positions on the impeller, and each position either has an L hammer or a straight hammer, and they have them installed across from each other. So they have one L hammer here and one L hammer directly across from itself. And then they have the other flat here, and then they have a flat here. So what I did instead was I made 8 of these. I cut 8 of these sections off and drilled the holes for mounting them. So basically I have 2 hammers with 3 washers as spacers to keep them apart, and then you run the existing bolt through them and bolt them onto one of the positions of the impeller. So that's it. That's basically how I made it. Was just flat stock, cut to length, 1/2 inch hole, 3/4 of an inch in and 3/4 of an inch up. Marked it, drilled that out to a 1/2 inch, and then stacked them with three washers, and that was it. As you can see, the chipper blade is now reinstalled on the impeller. This is the side where the chute goes, where you would put the branches down in. The impeller with the blade comes around, and that blade, this is the sharp edge, that cuts it. And then remember the slot, there's that slot right in behind here where that material is cut off, and it's shoved through the impeller into where the fins are on the back side of the impeller, and then it shoots out the discharge tube of the housing. So the back of the case is on, and so now what I need to do is to go through and tighten up all of the bolts. So there's 10 of these bolts that come through, and again we're using a nylock nut to retain the fastener. It's just a standard flat washer, nylock nut, and that's it. So we'll go through and we'll tighten up the 10 bolts. And then so the reinstallation of the two pieces of the case goes together pretty easy. Like I said, there's these 10 bolts around the exterior. There is one more portion of this, which is a flapper for the discharge tube, to make sure that it doesn't let any projectiles just shoot straight out. It'll hit that and deflect it. But right now we're going to go ahead and start to put the chute back on, and it's supposed to handle up to 3-inch around objects. I've never gotten a completely tight, they've never run across anything that I've tried running down through here that was 3 inches across. You just have to be a little intelligent with what you're doing. If you're trying to abuse it, then don't anticipate it lasting for a long time. I just take care of it. Oil changes, keep the gas good, sharpen the blades up, don't overdo it, and it's run fairly well for me. We get these 3 bolts on, or 3 nuts. Again, nylock nuts again. That's what came from the factory. Nylock nuts, flat washers, and the chute's now back on. It's fast and tight. The last portion of this is to put the this back on. And all it does is like I said, whenever objects are being pushed out by the impeller, it'll hit this, bounce it up out of the way, but it keeps the stuff from shooting directly out. There's 2 nuts. There's a nut on this side and a nut on this side. They compress up against the 2 portions of the case. The back end here is an Allen socket head bolt. So I need to have it tight with this. These 2 need to be tightened up against each other. And I want to make sure that this can turn freely. on the shaft of the bolt, which now it can. So as soon as it starts up, the wind produced through the impeller will blow this open slightly, and then the debris will come out as it's chopped up. So that's good there. I've got that nice and tight. Just go through and do. There we go. I'm not torquing anything down. I'm anticipating that the nylock nuts will do their job. And actually, if you ever look at a nylock nut, only a portion of this nut is threaded with metal, and the rest of it is threaded with nylon. So I don't really think you can. I mean, you probably can torque these down, but I think with the limited number of threads within the nylock nut, you could overstress that by torquing them down to any great degree. There you have it. The Predator 212cc chipper shredder is all put back together again. Everything is torqued down. Everything's all the fasteners are tight. Chutes reinstalled. Went ahead and had a little bit of a windstorm last night, and the temperatures warmed up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get these branches here cleaned up, run them through the chipper, and then show you how well the sharpening of the blades has gone. So yeah, let's go ahead and get chipping. The chipper is doing a good job of chipping up the tree branches now after sharpening up the blades. These are roughly about half-inch chips. Those will do fine for breaking down. Well, there you go. The chipper is back together, and took it out, did a test run of the chute and also the hopper, and in both cases we're doing very well. The hopper is the new hammer blades are chopping up the leaf matter, and then also the chipper, or the chute for the chipper is doing good also. The blades are sharp and they're cutting through the material easily. It doesn't take too much to have a piece of equipment go bad on you just from use, and just if you take a little bit of time to do some maintenance on it and sharpen or replace, like in my case, sharpened these chipper blades up and then had to create new hammer blades in the hopper. And that's all you really have to do. You just have to do a little bit of maintenance on the machine, and it'll keep running for you, and it'll be a good investment. Just take care of your equipment. And, yeah, I could have went out and I could have purchased new hammer blades from Harbor Freight. From what I understand, without having actually called them, but from what I understand from others, it is a slightly lengthy delay due to the fact that the hammer blades are not, I mean, they are available, but they have to be shipped in, and so that takes a little bit of time. So instead of having to wait for that delay, I just looked at what I had in regards to what could I create to replace them, and I just decided on the design of that I came up with the stacked hammer blades with washer spacers, and that seems to be doing really well. I'm going to take a moment to thank you for taking the time out and watching what I'm doing. It really means a lot. I'm happy that you're stopping by and visiting. And if you like the projects so far that I'm working on, or if you've got a recommendation, let me know. Just leave a comment. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, go ahead and put those down in the comment section below. I'll try answering the questions as well as I can. But anyhow, hey, it was a fun little project.